not from seed. Is it worth your time? And are you going to get the fruit at the end that you are looking and hoping to get? In my last video, we talked about plants I would always grow from seed, but this video are the plants I would never grow from seed. I hope by the end of it, you'll feel confident in knowing which ones you can start from seed and which ones you should just avoid. The plants I mentioned in this video are going to be ones that you can just hop over to your nursery and pick up. Skip the whole seed process because it's not worth it. And don't worry, it's not just my opinion. I found some sources to back me up. Let me know if you have a different opinion, if you actually like to grow these from seed. I personally wouldn't, but I'm open to hearing your opinion too, so drop those in the comments. If you're new around here, I'm Chai Ming, a garden designer and educator here in Los Angeles, California. So the plants I'm going to talk about today are either unpredictable, take too long to grow from seed, or just won't give you the results you expect. So trust me, there is a better way. Let's get into it. So first on my list, rosemary. You don't want to start this from seed. You might see a packet of seeds that only cost a few dollars, but don't do it. Rosemary is best cultivated by cuttings. So by snipping off a piece of this and sticking it in some soil, it will root and you'll have a new plant. That happens way faster than starting from seed. Also, rosemary seeds are 30 to 50% chance of germination. So you can plant 10 seeds and you might get 3 to 5 plants out of the 10 seeds that you are trying to nurture. Let's say that you started the best rosemary seed in the most optimal conditions. Even then, it takes 14 to 28 days, literally a month, for that seed to germinate. And then even if you get it to sprout, it takes forever to then grow big enough for you to harvest and then eat. So do yourself a favor and buy the start. I actually got this over the holidays because I liked the topiary shape. Clearly, I've let it grow out of shape. I wanted the Christmas tree look. So now I'm going to cut all of these branches like so to get that look back. So it'll look nice for the holidays next year. But that's how I'm going to harvest this one. I think this was a larger size. It was trained like this, but I think I found it for $12. And you can buy a smaller one for less. I liked this shape and it gives me a really good head start. And mind you, it's been in this container for months. Rosemary is one of those plants that once it does get started in seedling form, it's pretty easy to take care of. Once established, it's pretty drought tolerant. It doesn't need a lot of nutrients. It just needs some sun and to not dry out. My next one is lavender. I love lavender, don't get me wrong, but I would never start it from seed. In order to start lavender from seed successfully, they need to have cold stratification, which means you gotta stick it in the fridge at best if you're a home grower. It's gonna take weeks for it to germinate as well. And if you happen to have a lavender variety that is a hybrid, it won't grow true to the parent. Most of the varieties that you see in store are actually hybrids. Even though they're the best commercial varieties, they should not be grown from seed. According to Colorado State University, these commercial varieties should be propagated by cutting, not seed. So similar to rosemary earlier, you can cut a piece of lavender, stick it in some soil, and it should root. So just save yourself some time, and if you really, really want to start a bunch of lavender plants, get one plant and take your cuttings and start that way. So the next one, I laugh every single time I see the days to maturity on this plant, because days to maturity is how long it takes from germination all the way to harvest, okay? This plant takes 3 years days to maturity, okay? So that's 3 times 365. It takes 1,095 days. I'm not waiting 1,095 days for asparagus, I'm sorry. So if you see asparagus seeds, I would totally pass on that. It might be cheap, but if you have 3 years to wait around, by all means, go ahead. Instead, you can buy asparagus crowns. Usually this means that the crown has been started 1 to 2 years ahead of time for you. So you can either buy first year crowns, meaning the grower has already grown it for a year, or 2-year crowns, which means they've already grown it for 2 years, and so you only need to grow it for 1 year and you'll start to get some sizable asparagus spears. And I'm not an asparagus expert, but did you know there are male and female asparagus plants? Go figure. But the experts at Cornell University said that male asparagus plants produce more spears. However, if you start from seed, you don't know if you have a male seed or a female seed. So you don't know what you're growing. For asparagus, skip the seed altogether. What's also interesting is the asparagus crown, once established, it will last for 12 years and it can keep growing and growing, and the crowns get larger and larger and you get more and more spears. But it takes a really long time to get started. So skip the seed packet, just go buy the crown. If you are patient, settle for the first year crown, it will be cheaper. But if you are less patient like me and you want quicker results, buy the 2-year crown. It might only be a few dollar difference, but you are literally saving yourself a year of growing. Okay, the next one, similarly, is artichoke. Artichokes grown from seed need vernalization, which means they need a coal period. And depending on your zone, you might not have that. I don't have that in my zone. Not all varieties need a vernalization period, but if your packet says artichoke and you don't know what kind, don't get that packet. Artichokes that are at my nursery grow really well here and do not require that cool spell in order to flower. Now the artichoke, when you're eating it, is actually the flower, and if you are in a zone where you don't get the cold vernalization, but you've grown your plant from seed that requires that cold period, you're not gonna get any flowers, you're not gonna get any artichoke after all of that effort. And artichokes started from seed need 2 years to start producing. I don't have that time or patience. According to the National Gardening Association, root divisions or starter plants are the best way to start a productive artichoke plant without the long wait. So the next 2 plants are my pet peeve of you should never start from seed. The first one is a lemon tree. Why? It takes 5 to 15 years for a lemon tree to grow from a seedling all the way to fruiting. Now, can you do it? Absolutely. Should you do it? If you have the time, if you have the passion, if you are just curious, go right ahead. I don't have that. You might be able to get for $50 to $75 depending on maturity. If you don't want to wait for fruit, you can get one that's about $100. At least these are LA prices, and have fruit that same year. And one other thing about the lemon tree, most lemons are now hybrids. And so when you get that lemon and it was the most delicious lemon you've had, you take that, especially the commercial varieties, you take that seed and you plant it, it is not true to parent. The fruit that comes off of your tree that you grew from that wonderful lemon that you had is not going to be the same plant, because that's not how it's propagated. A lot of these are propagated through cuttings. There are mother plants that they take a cutting and they graft it onto a rootstock. That's how most commercial trees are now produced, not from seed. And let's say it starts fruiting. Well, that's only the first year. Most fruit trees, once they start fruiting, it takes 2 to 3 years to get a really good crop. So you're really waiting a really long time to get fruit. And now that we're talking about lemons, let me drop this little bit of info, and you let me know in the comments if you knew this. Meyer lemons are not real lemons. My mother-in-law actually grows the Meyer lemon, and I did not want to plant the same tree. So I actually have a Eureka lemon, and that is actually a true lemon. The flavor is different. The Meyer lemon is actually a cross between a different citrus, and that's why it is a little less tart and a little bit more sweet of a profile. When it matures, it's more of an orangey color than a true yellow color. The rind is thinner like an orange, whereas the Eureka lemon actually has a thicker rind that's better for zesting, that gives you that true lemon flavor. Okay, I know you've done it. I've done it too, just for fun. Avocados. I know it's really tempting. You crack open that really delicious avocado and you think, ooh, I'm gonna grow this seed because it's so big and it looks so cool and this avocado was so delicious. If you have 5 to 10 years, go right ahead. But again, it's most likely a hybrid and will not be true to parent. According to the University of Florida, avocado seed-grown trees are unpredictable. If you are in the business of discovering new varieties, by all means, plant that seed, wait your 5 to 10 years. And for your sake, I really hope that that avocado tastes delicious. But even the experts say, buy a grafted tree. If you're looking to save some money, you can buy avocado trees in their infancy. I've bought a sleeve, and this is a really special variety, Don Gologuli or something like that. I can't pronounce the whole thing, but it was $36 and it was the sleeve, and it's grown pretty quickly. But from here, it might still take a few years before it gives me proper fruit. I also have a holiday avocado at my house, and I planted it 2019, and it is now finally giving me one fruit 6 years later that the fruit is still staying on. Last year we had maybe 3 or 4 fruit that never reached maturity, but this year I have 1. Now it took 6 years in the making for a tree that was $75. Okay, the last one on my list of plants, also a pet peeve of do not start these from seed. Please save yourself the time, is strawberries. Most of these plants you can start from seed. It's not a technicality. It's really, is it worth your time? And are you going to get the fruit at the end that you are looking and hoping to get? So strawberry seeds grow really, really slow. They are very unpredictable. And again, most are hybrids. And on top of that, you're not gonna get fruit the first year. And if you're watching this, you're probably here to grow food, and you probably want to grow food fast and grow lots of it. So if you have to wait a whole year to grow food, it doesn't really apply. There's this myth out there that if you grow strawberries from seed, it's going to be true to parent. But according to the USDA, to back me up, hybrid strawberries grown from seed can have a totally different fruit quality. And fun fact, if you are trying to get those really special strawberries that are designer strawberries, or like $5 to $10 a piece, it's illegal to propagate them. They're covered by patents and all of those things. The same goes for other patented plants. Most of them are the commercial varieties. So in my opinion, the best way to get strawberries are to buy the bare root plant. That is going to be your best deal. You can probably get 25 bare root strawberries for $25 or less, depending on if you can find bulk pricing, get with a couple gardening friends and buy a group order. And when you have strawberries, they have runners, and when there's runners, you get a free cloned plant. So there's definitely ways, better ways to grow strawberries. So there you have it. Clearly, I have some strong opinions about some of the plants you should never start from seed. I'd love to know which plants you struggle to grow from seed. And if you have any questions based on what you've learned in this video, drop them in the comments and we'll talk about it in another one. Happy planting, and I'll see you in the next one.